Hello, good morning. Welcome back to the Chronicles of a Gooner, the Arsenal podcast, brought to you by the last man standing with loserpool.com. As ever, I'm your host, Harry Symeou. It's a beautiful Sunday morning here in London. The weather's been incredible this weekend. Was meaning to get a video out yesterday, but the weather was so good I ended up sticking the barbecue on instead. So apologies for the delay in this video, but just a couple of subjects that I want to talk about, bearing in mind the reports that have been going around the last few days. And I want to start off by discussing the potential transfer of Wilfried Zaha. Now, it's been reported that Wilfried Zaha prefers to move to Arsenal, and I know I've spoken about this on a previous video, but as sort of this story develops, my thoughts are developing too, I guess. And what I want to say is that whilst Wilfried Zaha would be a fantastic acquisition, he's a good player, there's no question about that. He's very dangerous, he carries the ball well, he's a big threat in the final third. It's been sort of a talisman for Crystal Palace. I just feel like spending around about £80 million, which is the fee that is being quoted, is absolutely crazy considering the deficiencies that Arsenal have in other areas of the pitch. I'd like to see Zaha come to Arsenal, but would I like to see Zaha come to Arsenal at the expense of us strengthening defensively? And the answer to that is probably no. As exciting as a signing that might be, just the thought of Arsenal not improving in the areas that are so clearly lacking just drives me up the wall. And, you know, then there's this talk about the budget, and there's people who say, you know, there's a £40 million budget, £50 million budget. And then there's others who say, but how can we be linked with Zaha if that's the case? Well, I guess you can be linked with someone and the player can want to join you, but it doesn't mean that it's going to happen. At this stage, we still don't have anything concrete to suggest that Wilfried Zaha will be coming to North London. David Ornstein was very clear in what he said. He said that if Arsenal had made the Champions League, they would have gone after Wilfried Zaha. So he was basically suggesting that, you know, the fact that we didn't make the Champions League could make a difference here, and that could mean that we don't end up bringing in Wilfried Zaha. So it's a story that's rumbling on at the moment. He's supposedly told Palace that he prefers to join Arsenal, but there's nothing concrete at this moment in time. So I wouldn't be getting too excited at the minute. It is just another transfer rumour that's doing the rounds. And then people are talking about selling Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang in order to fund this deal. And the talk is that, you know, well, it was coming out of an Italian newspaper, I think it was, who suggested that Aubameyang had said yes to a Manchester United move. And, you know, Manchester United are a huge club with great appeal. And despite their underperformance on the pitch, players want to play for Manchester United. They are a global brand. They are huge. One of the biggest football clubs in the world. It's understandable why somebody, you know, growing up in another country would want to join Man United at some point in their career. However, in my view, Manchester United are in a worse position than us. They're in an absolute mess. I don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the right man. I think he'll be gone by Christmas if I had to stick my neck on the line. And then, you know, but from an Arsenal point of view, it comes back to the fact that why would we sell our top goal scorer? Especially to a team that we're in direct competition with. And I know we've done it in the past. But you'd like to think that although we may not be able to go out there and spend hundreds of millions of pounds on the players we want, that we're not as desperate to sell as we were in the past. You'd hope that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang would want to stay at Arsenal as well. And you know, with the Van Persie thing, it was very different because Van Persie had expressed the fact that he wasn't happy at Arsenal, that the ambitions didn't match, etc., etc. And so you could understand, as much as it pained me, you could understand why he wanted to leave. Arsenal were going backwards at that time. Arsenal are still going backwards, but Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's only given us one full season. It's been at Arsenal 1.5 seasons now. And I think that given the investment Arsenal made to bring him into the club, he owes us more than that. And by the way, this is all speculation. You know, he's not come out and said anything. So I don't want to sit here and slag him off and suggest that he's trying to engineer a move away, because he's not. We don't know that. We've only heard a couple of reports here and there, but we've heard lots of nonsense reports throughout this transfer window. So it's very difficult, isn't it, to know what to get drawn into and what not to get drawn into. The best way, I guess, to approach it is to try and stay as calm and collected as possible regarding all these transfer rumours, regarding the players we're supposed to be bringing in, and the ones that could potentially be leaving. So bottom line, I wouldn't sell Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. It would be a step backwards. If you're going to bring in Zaha, that's an enhancement, but losing your top goal scorer puts you back to square one, so what's the point? So there's that. There's talk about Mustafi leaving. There's talk about Fenerbahce coming in for Shkodran Mustafi. Now, I've heard from various people who are very interested in Turkish football and follow it very, very closely, that despite the reports suggesting Fenerbahce are in there for Mustafi, Fenerbahce are in a bad situation financially. And if that's the case, then they may make a bid for Mustafi, but will it be a bid that Arsenal feel is acceptable? And we know that Mustafi's had a bad season. We know that he makes a lot of errors. We know, he's not exactly flavour of the month at the Emirates Stadium. But again, it goes back to business. And given what the club invested to bring him into the club, will they feel it's okay to let him go for 5-10 million? Probably not. So if our valuation is here and Fenerbahce's valuation is here, how do we get to the middle? We probably won't. And so that deal for me is not very likely, unless Fenerbahce are going to stump up some serious money. But like I said, from what I've heard, what I've been told, and what I've read actually, Fenerbahce's finances are in no state to be making substantial bids for players at the moment. So we'll have to see what happens there. That's pretty much it for today. Just wanted to round up my thoughts on Zaha, the Aubameyang links and Mustafi. Be back tomorrow with the Chronicles AFC Daily. From the kit launch, I'll be going down to the kit launch at the Emirates Stadium. So I'll be bringing you some videos from there. And then we'll be back to our normal schedule. The weekends, it goes a little bit off. This was a very special weekend in terms of weather. And we don't get those often here in London, so we have to make the most of them. I'll be back tomorrow then. And until then, guys, take care.